हमारे माननीय मॉडरेटर साहब, मेरे साथी बड़े आजमूदगार पुलिस ऑफिसर रहे हैं, सब जो जुल्म होता है देश में उसको अच्छी तरह से पहचानते, और मेरे हाजरीन दोस्तों, भाइयों और बहनों, मैं पहले तो ये जो दो संस्था हैं जिन्होंने ये शानदार जलसे का प्रबंध किया है उनको आफरीन देना चाहता हूँ, प्रशंसा करना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि यू आर ट्राइंग टू एजुकेट द पीपल ऑफ दिस कंट्री. It was said long ago by a great political philosopher that democracy without education is hypocrisy without limitation. Democracy means that the people of the country, जिसको हम आम आदमी कहते हैं, वो देश के मालिक हैं. मगर देश का मालिक पढ़ा लिखा न हो तो मालकी ज़्यादा चल नहीं सकती. कभी न कभी मुनीब जो है वो घोटाला करेगा, मिल्कियत खा जाएगा, और आज देश में वही नौबत बनी है. ये देश गरीब देश नहीं है, शाहूकार देश. इस शाहूकार देश को गरीब बनाया गया है. गरीब किसने बनाया है? गरीब इस देश को उन्होंने बनाया है जिन्होंने गरीब के संपत्ति के ऊपर डांके लगाए. This country is ruled by dacoits who have been practicing a large-scale larceny on the assets of the poor people of this country. Now, why are they able to practice this larceny on the poor people of this country? Because the common man does not have the necessary education which democracy requires. I always find it these days, in spite of my practice, in spite of my parliamentary work, in spite of my running a newspaper of my own, I like to go and teach in the colleges. I have never refused an invitation to go to any educational institution and speak to the young people of this country. The young are free from the sins of the old, and the young are the rulers and the future rulers of this country, and they are the real owners of the assets of this great nation. So, ladies and gentlemen, continue this kind of a process of educating people, and I'm very happy that today we are also meeting on a mission of educating ourselves about what is happening to this country. We are a secular country, but I want us to be proud of the fact that who created this secular country. This country could never have been a secular country if the majority community, that is Hindus, were not secular. Secularism is not a gift of the minorities. It is not that the minorities have fought and created secularism in this country. It is a priceless gift which the majority community has conferred upon the minorities of this country, and they have reason to be grateful. I am aware that there are existing in this country many grateful people, members of the minority community, who in their private conversations, when you sit with them over a convivial moment, they are prepared to acknowledge that it is the graciousness and the generosities of the Hindus that created a secular country of this kind. But I have a grievance even against my Hindu compatriots, because what kind of secularism we have created in this country, we have a grave misunderstanding of that. Some of you have read the Constitution. I am quite sure that Mr. Moderator is going to speak to you about some parts of the Constitution today, but I wish to speak to you about this great gift of secularism which is involved in the very bill that you are considering today. The word secular was not used in our Constitution when it became the law of this country. It did not exist even in the draft Constitution which the Constituent Assembly of India was considering. The word secular was introduced into the preamble of India's Constitution during the emergency. You will be surprised why it was created, why it was introduced in the Constitution. Because the Constitution was an attack on the liberty of all the people of this country, including the minorities, and perhaps more the minorities than anybody else. But they wanted to tell the minorities that don't worry about it, we are giving you a gift for the first time which you never had before, so tolerate this emergency. That is why they introduced the word secular for the first time in the preamble of the Constitution, without making even one word's change in the body of the Constitution. Now, a preamble can only explain some articles of the Constitution when the articles are of doubtful meaning. Preamble doesn't control the meaning of the constitutional provisions. If India was a secular country, and it was a secular country, the secularism must be somewhere inside the Constitution and not in the preamble of the Constitution by putting that word secular in the emergency. The core of secularism in India's Constitution is Article 25. Now, I want people to understand, and I want the Hindus, the Muslims, the Christians, and all those who are secular-minded to understand what the true secularism of India is and what is that secularism today, which is in great danger from this very government, which is, according to me, a government of dacoits, because they are the ones who are screening the dacoits who have stolen the poor people's money. Ladies and gentlemen, Article 25 of the Constitution says that every person has the right to profess and practice his religion. There's a third word about which I am going to speak for a moment, after a moment. This is the article of the draft Constitution. In the article of the draft Constitution, these were the only two words. Everybody has the right to practice and profess his religion, profess and practice his religion. It is the minority members of the Constituent Assembly who said that we want a further right. We want the right to not merely to profess and practice, but we want to the word used is that we have the right also to explain our religion to others and make people converts to our own religion. Practice, profess, and to proclaim the superiority of our religion was the demand which the minorities wanted to be introduced. And ladies and gentlemen, Pandit Nehru and Dr. Ambedkar both accepted this challenge. They said, we are willing to accept this challenge if you wish to expand the domain of your religion, if you want to extend and increase the number of followers of your religion, we are willing to give you that privilege, but then be prepared for the consequences. And ladies and gentlemen, we acceded to that demand, but what we acceded to contained a great implication which has not yet been understood. The implication is that if you have the right to convert people to your own religion, you should be able to compare your religion with others and pronounce the superiority of your religion. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hindu today has the right to proclaim the superiority of his religion. So has the Muslim, so has the Christian, so has everybody in this country, because you wish to convert people if you want to. Every religion must now compete in the free market of religious ideas and beliefs and dogmas. To this Article 25, we added something. What we added was that this right to profess, practice, and propagate religion is subject to what? It's subject to three things. It is subject to public order, it is subject to public health, and it is subject to public morals. Morality, health, and order are the three dominating features which will control every religion in this country. So, ladies and gentlemen, how will you decide whether a particular religion is contrary to morals? How will you decide whether a particular religious belief or practice is contrary to public order? Or how will you decide that a particular practice of some religion is contrary to public health? Wow, what is the method by which you will decide? You will decide it not by the religion itself. If every religion is superior by itself, then no problem of this kind can be solved. The crux, ladies and gentlemen, of our secularism is, and I wish to give you my one-line meaning of the word secular in this country, that life in this country will be guided by this small mammalian equipment called the human brain. It will be life which will be guided by reason and logic, but it will be propelled and inspired by this great dynamo of the heart, namely charity and compassion. Guided by logic, but controlled and propelled, the dynamo of the power will be charity and compassion and fellow feeling. And ladies and gentlemen, that is precisely what the government of the day is not willing to do, to tell people to develop the spirit of mutual compassion, the mutual accommodation, mutual brotherhood, mutual sisterhood, mutual harmony, and mutual peace. They are out to destroy this religious harmony amongst people. They are willing to destroy the compassion and charity which is the soul of our secularism. They want to create animosity and destroy secularism, and that is how they want to please the minorities, by telling them that you don't have to worry about harmony, you don't have to worry about anything else. Hindus will remain secular, but you are quite able to go about proclaiming the highest unsecular activities on your part, and they are being encouraged to do this, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the purpose of this bill. What happened? What happened in Gujarat? I am talking of those disgraceful riots that took place in Gujarat in the year 2002, wasn't it? 2002? 2003? How did those riots start? Those riots started, ladies and gentlemen, because some 58, 60 innocent car sevaks were burnt alive in a railway compartment. Now, after all, this is a Hindu-dominated country. We Hindus are in a majority. We are not eunuchs. We are also human beings. So those persons who decided to burn 58 or 60 innocent persons in that callous manner, what did they expect? They must have expected that somebody will retaliate, that there will be some violence engendered by this ghastly event. And lo and behold, that exactly happened. But that which happened was not unexpected, but expected by those who created that burning incident. Now I want you to draw your inference. Who were those people who did this act of burning, which they knew will recoil, because the majority is bound to revolt in some situations and will speak in the spirit of revenge, however muted it might be, however moderated it might be, however controlled it might be, but there is going to be some riots and that will certainly mean some revenge against the minority community. Ladies and gentlemen, the inference is that those people who started burning those car sevaks were those who wanted riots to take place in this country so that this country should be defamed in the Committee of Nations, so that this world should lose its power, that people should say that India consists of cannibals, that India consists of murderers, India doesn't consist of civilized people at all. And ladies and gentlemen, that is precisely what happened. What took place ultimately would have been much more severe if there was not a secular ruler in that country at that time. I give credit to my friend Narendra Modi, who controlled the riots and who, instead of being applauded for the great work that he did, that he saved thousands and thousands of people who would have otherwise been killed in a spirit of revenge. He saved them, and yet today, what did the central government do? You understand the mischief of the central government. They appointed a commission. They brought a judge from somewhere. That judge held an inquiry. And judges can also be bought. So the judge made a report in which he said that nobody had done anything. These 58, 60 persons were killed by an innocent stove fire. The cause of the fire was the stove which was there in the compartment. Now, does it appeal to your common sense that a stove creates a fire? People can jump out of the train. It was not a running train that the people couldn't jump out of it. But this is the attitude of the central government, to defame the majority community under any circumstances and say that you deliberately created the riots, though the first act of burning those car sevaks was an accidental act, the act of God or act of fire or the act of a stove. This is precisely the settled policy of this government, to see to it that minorities do not have a feeling of safety in this country, which safety is being guaranteed to the largest extent possible by those who are in positions of power. And I am very happy to say that today even the Muslims in Gujarat have realized that Narendra Modi was right, that he was the man who saved the minorities of this country. And yet, ladies and gentlemen, every day propaganda is going on as if the Hindus are just plain murderers who are out to take the blood of these poor minorities to flow. I must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, sometime in the end of the last year, a young lady in Pakistan, Asma Jahangir, a young lawyer, was elected as the president of the Supreme Court Bar Association. She's an old friend of mine, an old friend of my daughter. And she wrote to me that I have now been elected the president and I want to come to India and want to talk peace. I said, come. Do come. I said, you bring as many lawyers as you like. She brought a delegation of 133 senior lawyers of the Supreme Court of Pakistan. I was at that time the chairman of the Supreme Court Bar Association of India. For 4 days I treated them here like royalty in India, in Delhi first. Then I took them to Rajasthan. There I treated them and kept them in almost palatial conditions. But I must tell you in deference to them, in appreciation of those lawyers who came, that on the last day when I was speaking to them, I saw some of them shed tears. There are good people everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. People are made bad by our wicked politicians who want to serve nefarious temporary ends, and every time something is being done which is good is being nullified by these corrupt politicians. We passed resolutions on the last day, all unanimous. 2 resolutions I want to tell you we passed. We said that hereafter terrorism, violence, all crime is totally outdated and outlawed. If there is any problem, it will be solved by the 2 countries by sitting across the table, by mediation, by arbitration. But if it can't be resolved by mediation and arbitration, it will be referred to the Permanent Court of International Justice, and the judgment of the court will prevail. Gentlemen, That is how civilized people work. And we are trying to work on those lines. We are going to be able to solve even the Kashmir problem. But this government does not want to solve the Kashmir problem because they want somehow some kind of violence and misunderstanding to continue in this country. Please don't bother too much about this act. This act shall be passed over our dead body. Make that resolution. We will not allow this bill to be passed into law. This bill is, first of all, totally unconstitutional. It is an unsecular bill. It is a bill which is intended to destroy secularism of this country. It is a bill which is a complete reversal of the federal role that the states have to play. It is destructive of our federalism, which was proved in the Parliament of India only yesterday during the debate that took place in Parliament. You must have all heard about it. This bill will never be upheld by the Supreme Court of India. Be sure, and I'm telling you as a lawyer, that if it comes to it, we will fight this big legal battle in the courts, and we will never allow this bill to be passed. And from whom has this bill come? This bill has come from that illiterate woman who unfortunately you have already converted her into an uncrowned empress of India. And her son, about whom I said to the press that he is not qualified to be a managing clerk in my office, that is the man. He is the man who is being projected as the Prime Minister of this country. That's the kind of conspiracy that we are now facing. You have to get rid of this woman. Please, don't misunderstand. Don't think that I want her to be dead. But ladies and gentlemen, I want her to be removed from that position of power which she has come to occupy in the minds of some of us. And the minds of some of us need to be educated that she is the cause of great trouble, and so is that her heir apparent who is being projected as the future Prime Minister of this country. No, he shall not be the Prime Minister of this country. And ladies and gentlemen, this advisory council of an illiterate woman is as illiterate as she herself is. What is there in this bill that you have written? Nothing at all. The first thing is, when do you need this kind of legislation? You need this kind of legislation when the current law is not adequate enough to deal with that situation. The current law is adequate enough. And besides, you pass these kind of extraordinary foolish pieces of legislation only when that occurrence which you want to prevent is so habitual that it is beyond your normal exercise of power and normal exercise and execution of the normal laws that you can't control it at all. Ladies and gentlemen, are communal riots taking place every day in this country? Are Hindus such marauders that they are all the time targeting Christians and Muslims and others? Not at all, ladies and gentlemen. This is a great defamation of the entire Hindu community. And I am only sorry for those who continue to lend their loyalty to this kind of a corrupt and unsecular government. Ladies and gentlemen, when I became a lawyer at the young age of 18, I went to a senior lawyer for a little advice and a little blessing. He gave me a little advice which I have never forgotten. What he told me is that, Ram, time will come when you will lose the case, but see that you don't lose the client. The first part of his advice. I said, sir, something more. He said, yes, you will lose the case and the client, but see that you don't lose the court. The third part was the most wonderful part of his advice, that you will lose the case, the client, and the court, but see that you don't lose your conscience. This small little lesson can be extrapolated into the field of politics. Serve your community by all means. But if you find that service to the community is becoming a danger to the nation, then please discard that service to the community and go for the nation. If you find that your service to the nation is causing harm to humanity, please give up that party and give up that national party to whom you are wedded, and go in for the perennial interests of humanity And that is where you would stand in opposition to your own country, if necessary, but humanity is the higher cause. I appeal to all those that please give up these petty loyalties to the party. They are all right up to a point, but when you find that your party is the cause of destitution and poverty in this country, 250 million children every night go to bed without a morsel of food in their stomach. What do you think? There are pregnant women who can't find a place where they can go and deliver a baby. Look at the state of pregnant women who are living in slums, who don't have nutrition, and the children which are being born are children who are already weaklings. They are born with a weight of 4 kilos and 4 pounds and 5 pounds and less. And ladies and gentlemen, they are born in disease. They are born in all kinds of ailments. And this is what this great government of India has done to us. And I am only surprised that Mr. Manmohan Singh continues to be the Prime Minister. I wish at least he resigned. He was once upon a time a good man. But ladies and gentlemen, it is for you now to think of it, and please resolve that you shall keep educating the people of this country about where their interests lie, and keep telling them that our secularism is in danger, and also tell them that the unity and sovereignty of the nation is in danger. So long as you do not displace this government, you have a time enough now, a year more, but you should be able to knock this government out in 6 months.